All right. And now we welcome on two-time NCAA champion Parker Valby. Like, have you gotten used to that? It hasn't even been 10 days, and you've got a 2 now in front of number of NCAA titles you've got. It's also like this weird time where it's like you come off this huge high to close out a season. Thanksgiving happens. And then after that, it's like, oh, wait, I've got an indoor race like 2 weeks later. So how have the past 10 days been?
Honestly, very chaotic. And like you said, yeah, I don't think it's sunk in just quite yet. Still wasn't really quite sure if I was doing Boston or not. So we were just taking it day by day and eventually decided we're going to go get a qualifier for nationals.
So the last time people saw you was obviously, on the TV after during the race broadcast. They interview you afterwards. So I'm curious, like, where do things go from there? The broadcast ends, you get to go reunite with your team. What's that celebration like after you win the cross country title?
It was really surreal and honestly more proud of my team for placing fifth. And like, it was just awesome going from last year not having a team at all to this year, our team placing fifth. It was just like awesome.
How cool, I guess, was that? Because it's like if you went back 12 months when you were at nationals, like you were there by yourself, then you have like a coaching change, a big coaching change. And after that, you have all these new teammates. So within the past 12 months, like there was just this big element of change. Like, was it easy for you to adjust to having these new talented faces around you? And then being at nationals, your team was like in contention for like a podium spot.
Yeah. Obviously we faced a lot of adversity this year and things didn't go the way that we thought they would be, but honestly just so proud of how we handled it and the resilience of our team and everything. But yes, the change definitely was hard. The coaching change, the team change, everything. I'm not a big fan of change. So at first it was very rough, but once I accepted the fact that it happened for a reason, it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, because when you even described it, I think it may have been like at the press conference or it's someone else like maybe asked you that, what was that like going from like Coach Chris Linsky to Coach Will Palmer? And you described it as tough. I guess what made it so challenging?
Um, just like, well, first of all, I wasn't really expecting Zelensky to leave at that time. And so it was kind of just like right before Christmas break, it was like, oh, no coach. And I was like, oh, this is good. And then once he came, I was excited because I was like, he recruited me actually out of high school and I looked at Bama. And so I was excited. Obviously, he had been very accomplished in what he did at Bama and led his team to a third place finish at nationals and had national champion Mercy. And yeah, he knows what he's doing. When I tell you he's scarily good at what he does. It took me a while to accept that, but like he's very good at what he does. But yes, it was just like at first it was just like didn't know what to do because didn't like change and it took us a while, but eventually obviously it worked out. Won 2 national titles so far with him and just keep on going.
Yeah, was a little part of you realizing that, okay, because of like these changes, there's new people coming in, you're going to be looked to as like a leader, at least like on the distance squad. Does being a leader come naturally to you, or was that also something that you had to learn?
I don't know if I'd say I'm a leader, but like it definitely is something you have to learn. But I've obviously looked up to the girls on my team since my freshman year and just like gradually worked my way up and just like use what I've learned to teach the rest of the people on the team. And yeah.
It At the swamp, like it must be easy when you're just surrounded by like all these super talented athletes, like your teammates with Anna Hall and Jasmine Moore. And what is that like, I guess, for you? And how much did that play a factor initially in choosing Florida as like the place that you're like, okay, this is where I want to make a name for myself?
No, yeah, that originally was obviously like they weren't here when I first chose the school, but I did choose this school like mostly because I wanted to be a part of something bigger than just myself. And like our track team obviously is like the best in like one of the best in the nation. And so just being surrounded by all those great people every single day really like raises the bar and like brings out your best self.
I have to ask, were you a big Corey McGee fan? Like, I guess like growing up, because
Well, duh.
of course. And
Honestly,
I like the relationship. I guess I see through social media. It's like anytime you do something great, like she shouts you out and all that stuff. So there is sort of like that connection between generations of Gators.
oh, definitely, for sure. Once a
So
gator, always a gator.
yeah, at the Florida relays, when like alums come, like what is that sort of like for you, I guess, to see some of those people? It's like, oh, the program was good then, and we're still holding it down for the team.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It just like makes you want to be the best that you can be, just to, like, represent the Gator Nation.
All right, I want to break down the race in Charlottesville a bit because it was epic to watch and a lot of people really enjoyed it. So, have you gone back to like rewatch it? Was this the type of thing that you threw on the TV like during Thanksgiving?
Okay, well, no, not me. My parents did, definitely. My parents watched that on repeat with my neighbors. But no, I actually didn't watch it. I was like, I don't want to watch that race again. I didn't watch it until I think it was Friday during my cross train. I was really bored, and so I turned it on and I watched it, and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool.
Okay, we're definitely going to talk about.
I'm not gonna lie, it was a very good broadcast. Like
Oh, it
the
was really good.
commentary, I liked like the double screens, everything about it. I loved it.
It makes you really think. It's like, how did we air even like the whole entire men's 10K without commercials? And then when it comes to like a 5K outdoors, like it's interrupted, but we somehow found a way to do it for
True.
cross country.
Whenever I go back and watch any like 5K race, they all have the interruptions. I'm like, where's this part of the race?
So coming into this one, everyone, including CITIUS Mag, we're guilty. We're hyping this thing up to be you versus Katelyn Tuohy. And we have to do that because it's like, that's how you garner interest in the races. That's how you make it interesting. It was last year's winner versus last year's runner up. We saw what happened in Wisconsin. For you being one of the key players in sort of that storyline, are you aware of just how much people are talking about it, or do you find a way to tune out all of that noise?
Oh, I was very much so aware. So much to the point that I actually deleted all my social media, like, I think a week before the race, because it was just like, this is too much. Like, I just need to focus on myself at this point. And it doesn't matter what other people are saying. Like, I didn't want it to like get to my head too much.
So even before the race, like during the press conference that was out there, Elise Stearns was like the one I think who made the comment who said like it's good to have like these rivalries in the sport. And so she was talking like NAU, NC State, on the individual side, you versus Katelyn. How do you sort of characterize sort of that relationship that the two of you have? Like, is it a mutual respect for one another? Because I even think about it, it's like in track, it's just the hardest thing is like no one actually hates each other. And there's, with these rivalries of sorts, it's a level of respect, in competition. And the two of you hugged like after the race in Wisconsin.
Yeah, no, I have the utmost respect for her. She is like by far the most talented athlete that I've looked up to her since high school. Like, it's an honor, honestly, to be like compared to her like at this level. Like, yeah.
What was the biggest takeaway for you from Wisconsin to kind of set up the national championships? Like, was it just, your tactics of just going out hard and running from the front, finally worked? Was it realizing your fitness was maybe better than you expected in those tough conditions? Or like, was it a confidence thing, I guess, or a combination of all that stuff? When you left Madison, like, what were you thinking about like your own sort of individual title chances?
Well, like my coach told me, like we didn't even know if I was gonna race Wisconsin at that point. And because I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready. Like, my confidence is like not like up there at that point. It was just and then my coach was just like, I know you're fit and you have nothing to lose from this race. Like, it's just like a first in season race. And I took from that, I just got a little bit of, I got confidence from it. But I also just started trusting my coach at that point and if I just went out there and had fun, and that it would all work out, and it did.
That morning when you wake up and see like, I guess, the weather forecast in Madison, what are you thinking as a Florida girl?
Everyone, they asked me that in the after race interview there too. I was like, everyone's running in the same conditions. Like, we train in heat and humidity every day. Can't get much worse than that. So honestly, it was nice to run in the cold for once.
And we also need to like set the record straight. Like, people peg you as a Florida girl, but you've got Northeast roots.
Yeah, no, I'm born and raised in Northeast. I'm not, I mean, I guess I've lived in Florida for 7 years now, but yeah, no, I am from the Northeast.
All right. So at the national championships, the gun goes off and it takes you a while to get to the front. How at that point do you keep your cool? Because I'm assuming your race plan was just the same as Wisconsin, get to the front and go, but it was a little bit bunched up and you were behind the leaders for a little bit.
Yeah, my
It didn't
race,
last long.
my my race plan from my coach was to just like trust my gut and my instincts and like stay. Obviously, you can't do much if you're boxed in, and the same thing happened last year at nationals too. I think it took me a K last year to get out too, but I guess I didn't have that quick reaction off the start line, and then within a few seconds, I was like, "Well, I'm gonna be here for a little bit." And I was just like, you can't do anything at that point because we were in the middle box too. It's not like we were on the outside box. I was probably in like 200th place or something. But I just like slowly worked my way up. And I think I got out of there and like, I think it was 900 meters in. It was almost at a K because at a K I was at the front.
Yeah. I'm curious, like when you sit down with coach, maybe the night before the race, how do those kind of race plans come together? Like, are you just basically listening and saying like, all right, he's telling me to do this, that's what I'll do? Or do you also give some of your input being like, hey, I think this is what I took away from last year. Maybe we try this. What kind of an athlete are you in that sense?
I just listen to everything that he says. I honestly probably I was not confident in my abilities. Like you could ask him. I was like, I don't know. I don't think I can do this. Like after what happened last year, like, but yeah, no, I trusted what he said, and he just said, make your last 2K your best 2K, and I did, and it worked out. He was
When
right.
does that self-doubt start to like go away? Because once you do get to the front, it's like your foot is on the gas and you start to pour it on and pour it on. And anyone could have like, I mean, watching that race, it just sort of like, if you were in control. So even in those moments, are those little doubts creeping in?
Well, once the gun goes off, like there's nothing you can do. Like at that point, you're in the race. You can't have self-doubt in the race. But no, I was just like, if I listen to my coach and I have something left for the last 2K, like I believe that he said I could do it, so I knew I could do it.
Did you ever realize like just how much you were up by? Because at one point, like they have like the the big leaderboard, and and at one of the points where like people are passing by. Like, did you ever like peak, or was it just sort of like, no, like I'm
No,
just.
I didn't know where was there a leaderboard? I didn't
So
know that.
it was like where the stage was, so where that stage was, and like there was that one turn, and there like you've got fans on like both sides. The All-American stage, like there were these screens set up, and people could watch the race, and they could also see like they had the results where it's like the time between you and like the next person, which at one point got up to like 30 plus seconds. And when they're showing like the ESPN broadcast, the drone shots were just like the coolest part, because that's really where it showed the gap. But you were like totally unaware of, like, to you, did you feel like they were close at any point?
No, I just trusted that they were close and that I needed to keep going. I honestly just wanted to get to that finish line as fast as I could.
In the race, do you realize kind of like, all right, I'm in the zone, then like this is going well? I guess that might have been the feel up until like the side stitch happens, because like you were progressively getting better as it went along.
Yeah, I felt pretty good until I crossed at 5K and I looked at the clock, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, LOL, I side stitched. Don't know what I'm supposed to do. It's like, this has never happened before. I was like, well, you only have a K left. You could do anything for 3 minutes.
That side stitch, how painful was it? And like that's another moment where it's like you can't panic. Like even though it's never happened before, you have to keep your cool and hold it together.
Oh yeah, so true. There was nothing I could do. I was like, do it for your team. Do it for your team.
And it lasted all the way until after. Like I don't understand how like even after the race, the side stitch was still there up until like you got the interview, like
No,
right
it was
before
so
the
bad.
broadcast.
I was like, somebody give me water. I couldn't stand, like I was going to try to find my teammates, and I was like, I need to sit down. It was so bad. But
Of
eventually,
all the races this season, so like I'm thinking, Nuttycombe, SEC, regionals, Was this the toughest one? And just like how taxed did you feel after the race?
In different aspects, each race was very different. I'd say I felt the best this year at Nuttycombe, despite the conditions. SECs, I think I underestimated that course. It doesn't look as hard as it was, but there was like just like loose sand all over it. I don't know. I definitely underestimated that one and might have went out a little too hard on that one. But the regionals we just used that as a training race. That was just hard because we were in flats and it was like just very, very hilly course, even though it was our own golf course. But then nationals I wouldn't say it took so much like out of me. It was just like the side stitch, and yeah, that was really that last hill really got me. But yeah, I don't know. It didn't like kill me.
Was it more painful? I guess, is the 1530 in Austin more painful than that race?
Ooh.
Austin was just so hot.
Austin was very, very hot. I wouldn't say either was so painful. I wasn't like 100% in Austin, so maybe that one was worse. But yeah, they
So
can't really compare. They're two completely different races.
yeah. Do you have a favorite cross country course?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I really liked Wisco, actually. That was a very, very good course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say that was probably my favorite.
Well, it's hosting nationals next year, so like that's a good.
Are they?
Yeah.
Huh.
So it'd be a cool one to defend your title if that's down the road. All right, so that's the national championship. What were you aware sort of as to like the team race after that? Because it's like you cross the finish line. I remember seeing this. It's like you hit the ground, you've got like your teammate, was it Flomena, I think, who crossed not that long afterwards. You find her, you guys hug, and then I remember it was sort of like you both have to just like sit down. It was just like you guys were so tired. But then slowly but surely, like everyone's calculating team scores. When does your attention sort of shift from like, okay, I got my part done, but like, how did the rest of the team go? So what are those moments afterwards?
No, yeah, the moment I crossed the finish line, I was like, "Where's everyone else?" But yeah, I think I walked up to my trainer trying to ask how to get rid of a side stitch, and I was like, "Check your phone, like, what's the team score at?" Because there was no like boards or anything. I
And
was
there was
like,
no cell phone service. Everyone is kind of
"Yes."
screwed.
So that's what she said. She was like, "I don't have service," and I was like, "What do you mean you don't have service? Like, pull up the results." But no, yeah, I think eventually someone said it, and then I was like, oh, okay. And I didn't realize that Maz had dropped out at that point. But yeah, still got it done. Still got fifth.
Yeah. So that's the NCAA championships. I'm sort of curious to kind of lend a little bit of background. Growing up, you like, were you the type of girl in high school who had these dreams of at the college level, I want to win an NCAA title and maybe down the road become a professional runner? Or has that avenue for success kind of just come within the last couple of years based off of, your performances and this rapid rise that you've had?
I would say maybe I started with those dreams like probably like my junior, senior year of high school when I started like getting good. But I played lacrosse up until my sophomore year of high school. And so no, I had no dreams of going to college for running, or even like I didn't even know professional running was a thing, to be honest. I was so set on going to college for lacrosse. But yeah, eventually like year after year, those dreams became more of like a reality, and it's honestly so surreal at this point.
Was that hard for you, I guess, at one point, having to be like, all right, I'm going to leave the lacrosse dreams aside and running is going to be the thing?
Yeah, actually, funny story. I had to choose. My high school coach was like, and my mom also was like, it's too much. Like, you can't be playing lacrosse and doing track in the same time in high school, because like practices would like conflict, and like it was just too much on the body. And so I actually broke my ankle playing lacrosse, and I was like, you know what? You can't get hurt running. Little did I know. But yeah, then I eventually chose running, and the rest is history.
10 years ago, people were going crazy over Mary Kane in high school. And I was like one of the people who like helped start that. Kane sanity is what we call it. Anytime like there was like a big moment. And now you've got sort of like your own fan base
Okay,
that
she's in New York,
loves.
right?
What's that?
She was in New York and you're in New York.
Yeah. So I was root for East Coasters and New York. Like I'm a Yankee fan, so New York everything for me.
I'm a Red Sox fan.
Oh man, all right. Well, this is a good podcast. And so Kane sanity was a thing. When she would do something great, people would hashtag it, people would go nuts. Now there's Valby Mania. Like that's the phrase that everyone's throwing around. How do you define what Valby Mania is?
I don't know what Valby Mania is. People will randomly bring it up. I'm like, who started this? Like, I would love to know who started this.
I think it's a Let's Run thing. Like I think it started there,
I mean,
and
Let's Hate. I think we renamed that Let's Hate.
yeah, it's that place can be a bit toxic from time to time.
Yeah.
All right. So you also talked about you and Katelyn during the pre-race press conference about like those moments when you have like a girl from high school or even younger than that, like it's saying that they look up to you. Do you remember, I guess, the first time that ever happened? And like, what's that like, being a role model to people at such a young age? Like you're only 21.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I was just telling my friend Elise this the other day, like, it kind of scares me. I'm like, the fact that like people are looking up to me is terrifying. I was like, I definitely do not have my life figured out, nor do I feel like I'm like a leader or a role model. But no, it's honestly like so surreal. Like I can't even put into words how much it means to me having little girls look up to me and like tell me that.
Have you signed an autograph or a couple?
Yeah.
What's that like?
And
Because it's
that's
like the first time you're just sort of like, is my signature like good enough for this?
yeah, I think the first time I did, I like looked at my dad and I was like, I'm gonna need to work on my signature because at this point I'm just kind of scribbling my name.
Yeah, so it's you better get used to it because like you're far from the years removed of just sort of like a lot of people will be at. Although nowadays I feel like autographs have gone away a bit and it's all about the selfie. Like everyone wants a
Oh
photo.
yes, everyone wants a selfie. I don't even know how many selfies I took at nationals.
All right, so we've dragged the people listening to this long enough because one of the biggest things in asking for Instagram questions, everyone wants to dive into training for a little bit with you. It's the number one thing. Ever since I guess like those clips went viral after the press conference. And so to recap it and we can add some context to it, you said you run 2 to 3 days a week and the highest mileage during the build up to the cross country championships was about 30-ish miles. So let's unpack this and add context because I'm sure there's so much out there that people are just presuming and like are getting totally wrong. So for starters, let's define what those 2 or 3 days are. Like, is it easy runs? Are you counting workout days? And it's all part of this isn't really all that new. Like you've been a low mileage person for quite some time now.
Yeah, no, I mean it's not like I'm jogging those days, or it's not like I'm cross training easily. I think people like underestimate what I'm doing. Like obviously, like I don't think like when I cross train, like there are puddles of sweat on the floor to the point that like our recreational center has to put out wet floor signs because I sweat that much. And then one time they put out a out of order sign on my machine because they thought that the machine was leaking. Little did they know it was my sweat. But no, obviously like the workout days are quality miles, and that's where all the miles come in are the workout days. And then the easy run days are the ones that I cross training.
So a normal week. Let's start with Monday. What would Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday look like?
Monday's cross training, sometimes double, sometimes it depends on the week, like if we have a meet or like what, like
Let's say no meet. This is a training week. There's no meet for, coming up, within the next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll do a cross train double on Monday. Tuesday is typically a track workout or a grass workout, depending on the what we have coming up. So that'll be running on the ground that day.
Okay.
And then Wednesday will be cross train, single. Thursday, some weeks we have workouts, some weeks we don't, depending on if we're working out on Saturday. And then Friday would be a cross train double. Saturday would either be workout or off or cross train, depending on the week. And then Sunday's either off if we didn't go off Saturday, and then, or Sunday's cross train. But Saturday can be workout.
The cross training sessions, how hard are we going in for how long?
I mean, depends if we're doing the double or not.
And it's always arc trainer, or how do you diversify it?
I got arc trainer. Sometimes I aqua jog in the pool. Yeah, like when I was doing my sophomore year, when I was coming back from my broken foot, I would until I could, because I wasn't allowed to be weight bearing. It's like I would like solely like aqua jog every day, and yeah, that worked honestly wonders. I mean, I ran 15-20 off of it, but
it's incredible. I mean, in this era when people are double threshold training and all this different stuff, like you found a way to do it differently and something that works for you. And so it is like, I see why people are so interested in your training. Like, what is the weirdest question you've gotten about your training?
I don't know, but I really do think that people like underestimate, like when I'm like cross training, like I am working hard. Like it's not an easy, like not trying. Personally, like running to me is so much easier than cross training. That's how like much I'm working cross training. But like it works. I think a lot of people like overwork themselves, and the body needs rest.
In these cross training sessions, like what are you doing to distract your brain? Like, I guess in one instance you watch the cross country race, but what most of the time, what are you doing?
Sometimes I'll pull up, but like sometimes I'll pull up like YouTube videos, but usually I'll just like blast my music on full volume. Probably not good for my eardrums, honestly, at this point. But no, yeah, I blast at full volume and tune out all the noise. Yeah, like if people walk up behind me, or like I'll get scared. Like sometimes my teammates will walk up and like it'll terrify me because my music is so loud that like I literally cannot hear anything. But yeah, I just listen to music.
Can you pull up your cross training playlist? I'm so curious. Like, what does this consist of?
I can try to find it.
Also, is it like 4 hours long?
No, I don't listen to just like one. The most we really cross train at once is like 60 to 70. Like
Okay.
I don't really go over that in a session unless it's like a long run that I'll do like 90. But let's see. Depends on the day. Oh, not that one. Oh, I'm playing music right now. Like what would you like to know? My number one.
All right. So what do we start off with? Like, does it typically start off slower? Like, are we and then?
Absolutely not.
No.
It's immediately into the good songs.
You're getting your heart rate up right away.
Well, okay, that's one thing I do struggle with, is getting my heart rate up. So I do have to like be like, it takes at least like 20 minutes for me to get my heart rate up.
All right. What are the first couple songs like? Or I'm assuming you have to do shuffle, or else at some point.
I do shuffle, yeah.
Yeah.
Right now the number one song is "More" by Usher.
Okay.
"Sexy Biatch," I don't curse, by David
Guetta.
Yep, that one. "Without You" by the same guy. "Where Them Girls At."
All right.
I don't know, a good David. I don't know how to pronounce
David Guetta.
Yeah. David Guetta. Been on a kick of him. "Play Hard" by him.
You've got like a solid like 2010s like playlist going.
Oh, "All My Life." Shout out to Flamina for that one.
Okay.
By J. Cole. "Fly" by Nicki Minaj. Yeah. Can't give away all my songs though.
No, that's a secret. You have to keep some things a secret. Did you ever realize, I guess, like, you know, with 30 miles a week being like a sweet spot, that like high mileage just doesn't work for you? Like, or was there ever an experimental period where you're like, all right, 50 miles, I'm breaking down?
No, actually well, there's a whole like backstory, but like at one point I was at like 60-65 miles with Solinsky. That's when I broke my foot. And that's when I discovered cross training. Like I had never cross trained before that. So I guess I would say I was at that my sophomore year, like November, December, January. And then that's when I got hurt, and then I went down and stayed down.
Was there a point when like Will comes in to coach and then like you have to kind of explain like, listen, I'm a little bit different of an athlete. I only run 2 to 3 days a week.
Well, I feel like he knew a little bit of a background coming in, but yeah, we obviously had a chat at the
Yeah.
start.
I mean, it is totally unique where your teammates are probably what they are running like 5 or 6 days a week.
Oh yeah, no, all my teammates are.
Yeah.
But like, like a lot of them will like for our doubles, a lot of them do cross train. It's honestly so nice to have them like cross train with me.
So before we move into some listener questions, just really quick, like Doris Lemon-Goal, she ran 14:40 last year for 5K or earlier this year for 5K. You've now beat her twice. Like, is there a little part of you? I mean, training's different, cross country and track, like it's not a 1-for-1 translation, but is there any part of you that's like, oh, wow, like maybe I can go that fast down the road? Like this first 5K you got coming up at BU, you told me before we started recording, it's like, no, it's not going to be a record attempt. Like we're not, this is about qualifying for NCAAs. But down the road, I guess like the 5, what's that?
It's solely just to get to NCAAs to help my team.
Yeah.
Like,
So then
down the road.
Do you ever think of like, hey, what's the fastest I can go?
I mean, yeah, of course. But I think the sky's the limit, and I just got to take it day by day and keep trusting my coach and keep progressing.
Do you think the 5K is your best event or like your favorite event? Or I mean, you've got a really strong 3K PR. Your mile PR is a little outdated.
I haven't run a mile.
Since,
I don't think since I've gotten to college.
yeah, since
I
2019.
I've run on a DMR, but like I don't see myself as a miler.
So you're a 5K girly for yeah.
Like the 3K distance is like fun. I've only done it a few times, but I like it.
Yeah.
And I've never done anything different than a 5K outdoors, but hopefully this year we'll throw some things in the mix.
Really?
Yeah. Do you
So
not see my post steeple season?
Oh, okay. I didn't see that. I totally missed that.
Oh, well, yeah, it might be steeple season.
What excites you about that?
Steeple season? It's just like something different, you know? Get to throw in some little distractions in the race.
Yeah. You're used to the water because of all the cross training in the pool.
Exactly. I swam for like 14 years of my life, basically.
That'll come in handy when you're steepling.
Exactly.
All right, let's dive into some of these listener questions that were submitted. They're pretty rapid fire. Christina Molly asks, any superstitions before a race?
Ooh, not really. Honestly, I've gotten a lot better with those. Besides, I take an Epsom salt bath before every race.
Okay. It's not same playlist before warm-ups or anything like that?
Oh, no, I do have a playlist I listen to before warm-ups, but
that's different from the cross-training playlist.
It is different from the cross. It's solely for race day.
Okay. Jeremiah De La Cerda asks, why do you wear a band around your arm when you race? I noticed that too.
Okay, it's a hair tie.
Okay.
And just because I don't want it on my wrist. Honestly, so I think it was 2 years ago at SECs, they give us the wristbands that you have to wear to get in, and it didn't fit around my wrist, and so I put it on the top of my arm right here. And Anna did the same thing. But Anna was doing it with her hair tie, and so we've just started a thing that's like our armband, but it's really just a hair tie.
All right, I like it. It's the tiniest thing that like I'm sure a handful of people notice, and they're like, "Huh, what's that all about?"
I've gotten so many questions. They're like, "What is around her arm?"
Yeah, is that a heart rate monitor or what? Is it doing anything special? No, it's just
this is the hair tie. It's got to throw up the hair.
Gabriel Weigert asks, favorite shoe? You've got the NIL deal with Nike. Here's your free plug. What's your favorite shoe?
That's a like broad question. Like, are we talking like training, racing?
Take us through your shoe rotation.
I train in the pegs. I believe the peg 40s, and then do workouts in, what do they call it? The Vaporfly 3s. and then racing the dragonflies. So I guess
Okay.
that's rotation. And then obviously I have a bunch of fun shoes I wear, but I don't know the names of all of those.
Irene Riggs, she popped into the DMs,
Oh, love
asks,
her.
has any strength training helped with injury prevention? Good question from Irene.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Going to PT has helped a lot, and just getting stronger in the weight room, honestly. Yes. Lift your weights, kids.
Are you ever in the weight room at the same time as someone like Anna? Because like
Oh,
I see her Instagram stories and I'm like, wow. I mean, it's just impressive every single time.
well, no, yeah, she can lift like 5 times as much as I can, but yes, we're in there together, and she amazes me every day by what she can lift.
Winona Lee asks, how do you get through a 90-minute elliptical or indoor trainer or just a 90-minute cross training session? I guess you said you max out at 70, right?
Well, I've done 90. It's like for long runs, I'll do 90.
That's
But
almost like a full movie, but
yeah, that wouldn't keep me like occupied though. I don't know. Or not occupied. It would definitely keep me occupied, but not like working out to my full extreme. You know what I mean? So basically, I just blast music on full volume. I don't know. It works for me.
I
That's how I
love
get
it.
occupied.
Carson Potter asks, what was your high school mileage? And were you already cross training a bunch then too?
No, I didn't know what cross training was until about 2 years ago. But no, I don't honestly know what, but my high school mileage probably it was so different every year. Probably like probably in the 30s, maybe
Really?
40.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't I don't know. I honestly don't remember. I didn't run that much.
um, Eon K45 asks, what's your favorite thing about training in Gainesville? Go Gators.
Probably being surrounded by people like Anna and Grant and all the amazing athletes every day.
We've seen sort of like those videos of like Anna hurdling at the same time as Grant and like these little races. Like, have you ever thought like, all right, me versus someone else would be really fun? Like, is there a hypothetical matchup between any of the other former Gators or current Gators that you would be like, oh, I could be competitive in a 200 against that person or something?
Definitely not a 200. But no, I honestly haven't really thought about that.
Fair enough. It's fine. You just stick to what works for you right now. Sasha Kelly asks, what advice do you have for transitioning between high school and college running?
Don't be so hard on yourself and don't compare yourself to other people. That was probably one of the hardest things coming from high school to college, and just yeah. I mean, I also came in during COVID, so it was also a rough time for that too. But yeah,
That's
just
right. I always forget about that. Just sort of like how weird like the start of your college career probably was.
so weird, so strange. Also, it was just like, yeah, I don't know.
All right. Philly B Steak asked, does she plan on preparing for the Olympic trials? I mean, like for you, I guess this would be your first like senior US championship, and it's the Olympic trials, no biggie.
Nah, just another meet, just another race. But yeah, I mean, obviously the goal is to be there.
Yeah. Let's see. I'll just scroll through and see if there were any last minute ones that came in. I think that was for the most part it. So to close it out, my question is, what's got you excited or optimistic about 2024? Like we're putting a bow on this year. It was really good for you with the 5K title, the cross country title, a bunch of PRs. Now we turn to an Olympic year. I guess what's got you really excited about either the sport, but also just like your own potential?
Yeah, no, I'm just excited to keep progressing and honestly just having fun with the sport. I have a lot to look forward to, and I'm super excited to do it with my teammates and my coaches. Yeah,
Awesome.
hopefully it's a good year.
All right, Parker. Well, thanks so much for doing this. I appreciate you taking the time, and hopefully after BU you get like a little bit of time off to celebrate, I guess, all of the things.
Yeah, no, I mean, I already took a little bit of time off after nationals, but yeah, no, definitely looking forward to that break.